everybody? It's Dr. Rick here, dropping in on you. This is going to be a short but an intense one. I'm talking to the men out there, but ladies, don't log off, don't sign out. You can learn a lot from what I'm about to share here. And I just want to really talk to you guys, man. As a man, a black man at that, I understand the challenges that you go through. I understand those moments that you find hard to share with anyone, because in the world that we live in, admitting that you are struggling or admitting that you need help or in any way showing signs of emotion is perceived as a sign of weakness. And I'm really in this place for a lot of different reasons. You know, I've been through a lot myself over the course of my life, and the last couple of years have been somewhat devastating in a number of ways, but I am still standing. And a friend of mine shared a song from the artist Dax that he did with Darius Rucker. And then there is what's called the Mega Remix, where there are like 8 artists on it. And it's talking about the challenges of manhood and the things we go through and the way that we often suffer in silence, and that it doesn't even matter how we feel. It only matters what we do in the home, or what we bring to the home, or what we provide in the home. And don't get me wrong, I am a firm believer that we as men are supposed to be protectors and providers. But understanding as a person who has spent my life in the science of human behavior, understanding the brain and the mind of the man versus the woman, I understand we need to really and truly create a space where we can have real, true conversations about our feelings of inadequacy, our feelings of hopelessness, our feelings of not measuring up, and be able to talk about it in a space where there are discussions that provide answers, that provide hope, that sit down. Let me tell you, as a man, the way our brains are wired is to be fulfilled in ourselves as we accomplish things, as we fulfill things. And when we create our paradigms of manhood from wherever you're at, however manhood is defined in your cultural sector, when you fulfill that, there's a sense of accomplishment. There is an elevation of self-esteem, self-confidence. Your self-concept is constructed in a way that drives you and lifts you. But no matter who you are, no matter how successful you are, there are going to be times when you feel you don't measure up. There are going to be times when you don't have the answers. There's going to be times when it seems that no matter what you do, you can't seem to get it right. And I want to, first of all, encourage you to understand, number one, you're not alone. What you're feeling isn't some sign of weakness. You're not losing it. It's a natural feeling. But what happens is, if you give too much attention to that feeling, if you give it too much power by focusing on it, by buying into it, it becomes the catalyst and the guiding force behind everything that's going on in your life. I want you to understand that. And if you haven't heard that song, man, listen to both versions. The first version is a very short, intense version about how we feel as men. And there's a couple of things in there, man. You know, number one is the only thing that matters. It doesn't matter how you feel. It only matters what you do in the home. Is one, and that's in the. It's a constant in the song. But there's another part that says, nobody will ever know how valuable we are until we're gone. Another part in the song, and I think this is in the Mega remix. You gotta listen to the Mega remix. Some dope artists on there from almost every genre, and they are bringing it. And it's a voice. It's the first time I think that a song is men have been given a voice. Women always get their anthems, and I'm happy for them because women deal with things too. But Mary J gonna probably give you an anthem every 2 or 3 years. And then, there are all the other ones that pop up, but Mary is going to make sure you have an anthem. And so, but this thing, man, toes deep, but it's another part in the song that basically says people wonder why we commit suicide. And it's because, maybe it's because we feel we're already dead inside. And I remember watching David Mann, Mr. Brown from all the Tyler Perry stuff. If you don't know who David Mann is, a very gifted, talented, and well-rounded person outside of his character. And I remember him talking about his 2 years of struggling with depression. And he said, he locked himself in his office every day and cried, and nobody knew. He didn't feel he could discuss it. He could talk about it. And it was mad crazy to me what he said next. He said that he felt like he was drowning, and that nobody would know that he was drowning until he had drowned. And I said, man, there's a similar feeling to me, because everybody assumes you're the strong person. Something my grandmother said to me, short digression. Something my grandmother said to me. She said, son, nobody comes to the aid of the strong. And I didn't understand it then, but I definitely understand it now. When people think you're strong, you could be screaming. And that's what I said. When I heard him say that, I said that's similar to how I feel. I feel like I'm screaming at the top of my lungs, I'm not okay, but nobody's going to hear me until I go silent. Look, no matter what you're going through, no matter how bad it is, there's hope. If you need to reach out. Email ceo@rickwallacephd.link. Leave comments in the comment field of wherever you're watching this video. But I am telling you that it's not uncommon. But what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to answer the question is, why is there a suicide spike? Because the pressure has never been greater. Social media has been a great tool for business, but it's also been a platform where so much pressure is applied, because anybody can be anything, and then everybody's measuring themselves against this thing. We have got to come together and stand together. Another part of that song that was so dope is, and this is from one of the rappers on the song, I think there are like 2 different rappers on the Mega Mix version, and he says that he didn't have many male role models growing up, only really 2 great men. One, was I guess his father, whatever, and the other was Christ. And he says it's amazing, when I want to cry. He said that's why I cry when I feel down, or whatever, however he says it. But ultimately he says, because I read that Jesus wept. And I'm like, whoa, we're always told men don't cry, but Jesus wept. And but it's just, we've got so many things we need to address. And words don't normally escape me, but it's so many emotions flowing through me right now. In the past 2 years, I've lost 2 relatives, one my brother, one my mom, which we just laid to rest last month, at the end of last month. So it hasn't even been a month yet. Buried my brother this time last year, literally. This time last year, I was finalizing my divorce. Anybody that knows me knows how I am about marriage and family. One of the most devastating things I've had to go through. And every day I woke up and I answered the bell. Every day I woke up and I delivered. Every day I woke up and I made other people feel better. But at the same time, I'm looking at this compounding pressure. And I'm looking for a release. And luckily I found it. I have a therapist. I always had one, my colleague. And so I've got good, solid male friends around, and we are very, very transparent and open with one another. And they won't let me get off with the traditional, I'm good. They don't let that slide. They want to sit down and like, we got to talk about it, and that's good. And it's still such a small space, because when you walk out of that space, you got to become Superman, because everybody is Superman. Everybody, you look around, everybody's Superman. Everybody's looking for Superman. And one of the things we don't realize is that we're human. And everybody's trying to measure up to something beyond humanity. The beauty of being on this place is being yourself and understanding that there's greatness inside of who you are. And I am going to do everything in my power moving forward to empower men to be okay with being human, but to strive to be the best they can be. I encourage you. I don't know you, but I love you. Wake up, hold your head up. And if you haven't checked out that song, women, you need to check out that song, because it's telling you how we feel when we take off the armor. On that note, I'm out of here. You guys have an unbelievable remainder.